From the pages of history and the untamed prairies of a young nation comes one of television's and America's most memorable folk heroes.
Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man.
Well, you're Daniel Boone.
Yep. Fess Parker stars as the legendary Daniel Boone, with Ed Ames as his trusty sidekick, Mingo.
Pleasure indeed.
A Kentuckian named Daniel Boone.
That's me.
Watch Daniel Boone weekday mornings at 9, 8 Central on MeTV.
Hello, I'm John Malos, and welcome to Connect with me on this Thursday morning. Normally we talk about Spotlight on Entertainment, but today we're talking politics. The big debate last night, Obama and Mitt Romney. Who won? Who lost? Who showed up? Who didn't? Who got blown away? We're going to talk about it with Feleena Sutton, our political analyst. Your phone calls are important, 265-4331. Call in and give your 2 cents. Chime in. We want you to. We encourage it.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
And welcome back. We're going to be talking about last night's debate between Mitt Romney and President Obama that took place in Denver, but just taking one moment here to recognize a couple of things that happen in the world of sports, professional sports, and that's Major League Baseball. A guy by the name of Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown. Now, you might be saying, okay, so what's that and why is that a big deal? Well, nobody's done it in more than 40 years. Carl Yastrzemski did it for the Boston Red Sox back in 1967. And winning the Triple Crowns means that you lead the league in home runs, in batting average, and runs batted in. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal feat. The other phenomenal thing is the Oakland A's completed one of the greatest comebacks in baseball history, if not sports history. They won the AL West title yesterday by beating Texas 12-5 at the Coliseum. You might be saying, well, big deal. Well, you know, 2 months ago, they were almost 14 games out of first place. They were 9 games below 500. They had a suspect pitching staff. They had some home run hitters who struck out a lot. They had a guy who was suspended for using steroids. They were down and out on their luck, and they came back and won, and now they're in the playoffs with the Giants and all the rest. We're going to follow the Major League Baseball playoffs as time goes on. Now to the political debate between Romney and Obama last night. Of course, they sparred over Medicare, over Social Security, health care, the economy. Live in our studio right now is Feleena Sutton. She is a graduate of Sacramento State. She worked for Jim Costa, Sarah Reyes, and most recently at Kino Radio as a political analyst. She is going to be here to break down the debate. There are a lot of people that say Romney showed up with his boxing gloves. He was ready. He was energetic. He was factual. He was on his game last night, and that President Obama, celebrating his 20th wedding anniversary, was not in the game at all. We'll take your phone calls at 265-4331, and we're going to be back with Feleena Sutton in just a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high-efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
And welcome back. We're talking politics on this day. We're talking about the presidential debate that took place last night. I'm happy to welcome in Feleena Sutton, our political analyst. Hey, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here.
Hey, it's
Thank
good
you
to
so
have
much.
you here.
Thanks.
So, overall, what do you think happened last night?
Overall, as a political analyst, I think that Romney won the debate.
Hand over fist, right?
Let's say hand over hand. I don't think any fists were involved because this was such a civil debate, and I really want to take my hat off to both gentlemen involved. We have had such a period of incivility in politics locally as well as on the national level. It was nice to just see two candidates being nice to each other for once.
Yeah, but let's turn around to the Monitor and just get an overview of what happened from the Associated Press in last night's debate.
In the first direct showdown of the presidential campaign, an aggressive Mitt Romney sparred with President Barack Obama on Wednesday over taxes, deficits, and ways to create jobs.
High-income people are doing just fine in this economy. They'll do fine whether you're president or I am. The people who are having the hard time right now are middle-income Americans. Under the president's policies, middle-income Americans have been buried.
Democrat Obama, in turn, accused his challenger of seeking to double down on economic policies that led to the national downturn 4 years ago and counterattacked on Romney's plans.
I think math, common sense, and our history shows us that's not a recipe for job growth. Look, we've tried this. We've tried both approaches. The approach that Governor Romney is talking about is the same sales pitch that was made in 2001 and 2003.
Romney appeared at ease in the debate and at one point virtually lectured the president after he accused Romney of seeking to cut education funds.
Yes, respond to that. Yes, sir,
Mr. President, you're entitled as a president to your own airplane and to your own house, but not to your own facts. All right, I'm not going to cut education funding. I don't have any plan to cut education funding and grants that go to people going to college. I'm planning on continuing to grow, so I'm not planning on making changes there. But
The economy dominated the evening, as it has in the race for the White House all year. Pre-debate polls showed Obama with a slight advantage on the issue.
For 18 months, he's been running on this tax plan. And now, 5 weeks before the election, he's saying that his big, bold idea is never mind.
Romney said he has plans to overhaul the tax code, repeal and replace the president's health care bill, and pass laws to prevent another financial crash, but he provided no specifics despite the president's prodding.
I mean, you have to have regulations so that you can have an economy work. Every free economy has good regulation. At the same time, regulation can become excessive.
Is it excessive now,
Well,
do you think?
in some places, yes.
Like
In other
where?
places, no. It can become out of date.
On the issue of health care, the president drew a comparison between his bill and Romney's reform efforts when he was the governor of Massachusetts.
In fact, it was a Republican idea. And Governor Romney, at the beginning of this debate, wrote and said, what we did in Massachusetts could be a model for the nation. And I agree that the Democratic legislators in Massachusetts might have given some advice to Republicans in Congress about how to cooperate.
Overall, the debate had a wonky tone, providing a stark contrast to the sometimes harsh personal attacks the candidates deliver on each other on the campaign trail. And that's where they turn their attention to through the weekend, visiting some crucial battleground states. The two men debate each other twice more later this month. John Malos, Associated Press, Denver.
So what do you make of this? I mean, Mitt Romney appeared to show up. He was very assertive. He had the facts. He was energetic. He was involved. Obama, the president of the United States, looked uninvolved, like he didn't want to be there. It was his 20th anniversary. Those are some of the comments that I've read and heard from some of the pundits. What's your reaction?
Well, essentially, I end up agreeing. It's certainly hard for a gentleman to try to celebrate his 20th wedding anniversary with his wife when millions of people surrounding him.
Is that a legitimate excuse, do you think?
I think it's a very legitimate issue. It's not an excuse, and those two are very, very separate things. Please consider that
his wife was there. They
yes,
celebrated
yes,
after.
Yes, but he also has the weight of the world on his shoulders. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I love how they show pictures of the president his first day of office and the day that he leaves office, and you can see whether it's a 4 or an 8-year term, they age greatly because they do have the weight of the world on their shoulders. He's still president. The CIA still shows up with the briefing every morning. He still knows what's going on in the world. He's trying to set all of that aside with issues in Libya and very important places and trying to take on a domestic affairs debate. He has a lot on his plate.
Okay. Yeah, you look at the video from 4 years ago, Obama does not have gray hair. Today, his head is it's salt and pepper.
He's aging quickly.
Yeah, he's aging very quickly, just like every president who is in there. But why did Romney shine?
hopefully he shined because he has had so much practice, and Senator Rob Portman of Ohio was a good sparring partner for him. My only question to the governor is, where has this candidate been all along? Where has he been in the last 2 years? This is the best we have ever seen him. I think he topped out yesterday. The question now is, where is his momentum? Can he keep that going in the other presidential debates?
Will this push him over the top, or will this, by next week, are we going to be even in some of those polls in the swing states like Ohio, Florida, Virginia?
When I woke up this morning, rather than looking at the San Francisco Chronicle or the LA Times, I was looking at Ohio papers on the internet. And most of what folks were tweeting, those that are undecided are still undecided.
But we don't know if by next week they'll be undecided.
No, we don't. Only they know. But that's
right.
Really, they are in an election to see who's going to be president of Ohio. Most of the major states like California and New York, we know how those states are going to side. It's up to Ohio, it's up to Florida, and it's up to Virginia right now.
Right. And clearly we got a sense for who these people are last night, a clear difference between the two and how they see the role in government, how they see the president's role in government, and how they will govern if President Obama is reelected or if Mitt Romney is elected president. There's a clear definition, a difference between the two.
That's a good thing, because you don't want two members of two different parties saying the same thing.
But we saw it last night. In the past debates, we hadn't seen it. We hadn't seen the clear differences between the two candidates. And last night, wasn't it as clear as day?
To me, it was. Yeah. And I hope it was to the independent voters who still have to decide.
Yeah.
It really all hangs on them.
Yeah, we have a choice just based on what we saw last night, the differences between the two. On health care, they clashed. On how to deal with the economy, they clashed. On how to deal with the deficit, they clashed.
Taxes,
and
Medicare, all very important.
Social Security, they clashed. We're going to take a time out. We're here with Feleena Sutton, our political expert. We're going to hear from the both parties, both men from last night's big debate that took place in Denver, at the University of Denver. And your phone calls are encouraged. Want you to call in too and give us your 2 cents on what happened. We encourage you to call at 265-4331. Back in a moment.
Sunday night.
Let's move.
A perfect night for crime. A perfect night for me.
You've got to help me.
Me TV, that is. With detectives.
My name is Gunn.
Fugitives.
I didn't kill her.
Guns. Surly.
This is the Twilight Zone.
And much, much more.
You'll go along with that, won't you?
Sunday Night Noir, starting at 10, 9 Central on Me TV.
Welcome back. We are with Feleena Sutton, our political expert here, and the role of government. That was a big topic last night. Want to take a listen?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, let's turn around and listen to both President Obama and Mitt Romney.
The first role of the federal government is to keep the American people safe. That's its most basic function. And as Commander-in-Chief, that is something that I have worked on and thought about every single day that I've been in the Oval Office. But I also believe that government has the capacity, the federal government has the capacity, to help open up opportunity and create ladders of opportunity and to create frameworks where the American people can succeed.
The role of government. Look behind us, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. The role of government is to promote and protect the principles of those documents. First, life and liberty. We have a responsibility to protect the lives and liberties of our people, and that means a military second to none. I do not believe in cutting our military. I believe in maintaining the strength of America's military. Second, in that line that says we are endowed by our Creator with our rights, I believe we must maintain our commitment to religious tolerance and freedom in this country. That statement also says that we are endowed by our Creator with the right to pursue happiness as we choose. I interpret that as, one, making sure that those people who are less fortunate and can't care for themselves are cared by one another.
So, Feleena, who won on this point, in your opinion? The role of government.
Well, ironically, in the role of government, they both have the first rule down, which is security or the issue of defense. The second role, I think Republicans are going to stick with Mr. Romney, and the Democrats are going to completely side with the President of the United States, and you're going to still see that division between red states and blue states.
Because?
Because the President very boldly said that the government does have a responsibility to take care of people. He believes firmly in a safety net, and we have a very active safety net in Social Security and Medicare and in Medi-Cal as a state organization. Instead, Mr. Romney took that issue to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which, as a woman, I'm always concerned about when he starts talking about personal liberty, just because of how he is on the choice issue. I have liberty within my body, and I think you know where I'm going with this.
You're talking about abortion, but that has nothing to do with the safety net. You're talking about Social Security and probably Medicare. Now, I didn't hear...
That's what the president was talking about, but oddly, Romney, he didn't specify.
I never heard Romney say he's in favor of eliminating Social Security. He was talking about vouchers last night.
Vouchers are for the Medicare system rather than the Social Security system, and it's a very unfortunate suggestion on his part.
Because?
Because it's going to harm the senior citizens, in my opinion. The way the voucher system works is you, for X number of dollars, you take your voucher out to the private system and say, today I'm going to go with Blue Cross, and that's where you put your money.
Right.
Okay. Blue Cross is going to be very careful in the senior citizens that they choose to put on their plan. It's much better for them to have healthy people rather than unhealthy people because they're a business and they need to make a profit. Profit is why they are in business, not because they want to keep people healthy.
But these are not for current Medicare patients. They are for future Medicare patients.
If you're 55, then you need to be paying attention because that's going to be your system if you're anywhere within your 50s. I know a lot of people that are in their 50s trying to figure that out.
One thing that President Obama talked about when he talked about Social Security, he said that it was secure, which is a totally false statement. We all know that. It's in jeopardy in the year 2030 from what all the experts, the CBO, according to the CBO. So how could he make a statement like that?
That was a very bold statement on his behalf. The only thing I could possibly project that he is thinking is we have so many baby boomers right now, and we have more people taking from the system than putting in.
But isn't
20, 30 years down the road, that won't be the case. But it is very touch and go right now.
Isn't that far away?
That's true. It's very touch and go right now financially.
18 years away or something like that. So if our system is overtaxed with Social Security and Medicare right now, doesn't it make sense to have vouchers down the road for future applicants?
Oh, to me it doesn't, and we didn't get to finish that point, but I think that the insurance companies that are out there are going to cherry pick who they take with those voucher systems, leaving the sickest and the poorest people to stay within the Medicare system.
Right. Let's go to health care.
Okay.
Let's listen to what both had to say about health care last night.
You want it repealed. You want the Affordable Care Act repealed. Why?
I sure do. Well, in part, it comes again from my experience. I was in New Hampshire. A woman came to me and she said, look, I can't afford insurance for myself or my son. I met a couple in Appleton, Wisconsin, and they said, we're thinking of dropping our insurance. We can't afford it. And the number of small businesses I've gone to that are saying they're dropping insurance because they can't afford it, the cost of health care is just prohibitive. And we've got to deal with cost. And unfortunately, when you look at Obamacare, the Congressional Budget Office has said it will cost $2,500 a year more than traditional insurance. So it's adding to cost. And as a matter of fact, when the president ran for office, he said that by this year he would have brought down the cost of insurance for each family by $2,500 a family. Instead, it's gone up by that amount. So it's expensive. Expensive things hurt families. So that's one reason I don't want it. Second reason, it cut $716 billion from Medicare to pay for it.
Well, 4 years ago when I was running for office, I was traveling around and having those same conversations that Governor Romney talks about. And it wasn't just that small businesses were seeing costs skyrocket and they couldn't get affordable coverage even if they wanted to provide it to their employees. It wasn't just that this was the biggest driver of our federal deficit, our overall health care costs, but it was families who were worried about going bankrupt if they got sick. Millions of families all across the country. If they had a pre-existing condition, they might not be able to get coverage at all. If they did have coverage, insurance companies might impose an arbitrary limit. And so as a consequence, they're paying their premiums. Somebody gets really sick. Lo and behold, they don't have enough money to pay the bills because the insurance companies say that they've hit the limit.
Again, a clear difference between the two candidates. He wants to repeal Obamacare. The president wants to keep it in. You have a clear choice here. You either want Obamacare or you don't.
Well, the issue for me is that Governor Romney has flip-flopped on this issue. His website states very clearly that he's going to repeal all of Obamacare, but in public outings since then he says, you know, we have some popular parts and I think I might look into keeping them. So we're not quite sure which parts he's going to repeal. Is it the part that give a financial break to senior citizens for their prescriptions? Is it the fact that someone our age could put a college-age student on our health plan? I really don't know where he's going to go with this, because he, meaning Mr. Romney, is really speaking out of both sides of his mouth on this issue.
Well, he seemed to indicate last night he wanted to put in the same plan that he put in as governor of Massachusetts.
That's what we have now.
Right. Well, not exactly. It's not exactly the same. It's kind of a model, but it's not quite the same. But
no, I
president,
completely disagree.
Okay, that's fine.
But
that's fine. But President Obama, I mean, Romney brought up the fact that during a huge recession, with the economy going in the tank, he wants to spend all this money. He rammed through Obamacare without any bipartisan support, okay, and the cost. He brought up, was that a good point that Romney made? To create a health care system by the government?
It is a very fair point to say, but what the president didn't respond with and should have is that he's getting more people into that payment pool. There are folks that aren't paying for health care right now that do end up in ERs for which you and I are paying. I'm sure you're very familiar with that, especially in this area.
But if those same patients can't afford to pay the ER bill, they're not going to afford to be able to pay the monthly premiums on health care.
Not necessarily.
Okay. We're going to come back with Feleena Sutton. She is our political analyst here on Connect with Me. Wait to hear from you on your phone calls, 265-4331. We are back in just a moment.
Is taking care of laundry taking too much of your time? Have you become a missing mom? With a new fast, efficient washer and dryer from Ventura TV Video Appliance, you'll spend more of your day the way you want.
This Amana Super Capacity Washer Dryer Pair is now just $6.99, and this heavy-duty Maytag Super Capacity Washer Dryer Pair is only $8.99.
Don't spend your life on laundry. Upgrade today at Ventura TV Video Appliance and save.
Back talking about the debate and the debate deficit. Hey, we're talking about the deficit in this country. Trillions and trillions of dollars. Let's hear what they both had to say about the debate deficit. They debated on it.
I think it's not just an economic issue. I think it's a moral issue. I think it's frankly not moral for my generation to keep spending massively more than we take in, knowing those burdens are going to be passed on to the next generation. And they're going to be paying the interest and the principal all their lives. And the amount of debt we're adding at $1 trillion a year is simply not moral. So how do we deal with it? Well, mathematically, there are three ways that you can cut a deficit. One, of course, is to raise taxes. Number two is to cut spending. And number three is to grow the economy. Because if more people work in a growing economy, they're paying taxes, and you can get the job done that way.
When I walked into the Oval Office, I had more than $1 trillion deficit greeting me. And we know where it came from. 2 wars that were paid for on a credit card, 2 tax cuts that were not paid for, and a whole bunch of programs that were not paid for, and then a massive economic crisis. And so I put forward a specific $4 trillion deficit reduction plan. It's on a website. You can look at all the numbers, what cuts we make, and what revenue we raise.
But what the president failed to say last night is that deficit reduction plan that he has takes place over the course of 10 or 15 years.
You and I would not like any deficit reduction plan that reduced the deficit in 4 years. or fewer. It would be extremely painful. You and I would each pay so much more in taxes. So it took a long time to accumulate this debt. To be honest, it's going to take a long time to pay it back. It won't be paid back any sooner or any later, depending on who the president is,
Do you think
frankly.
the president added to it?
Of course he added to it, just as presidents in the past have.
Okay, we got a phone call here. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. What's your question?
Hello?
Hi, go ahead. Quickly.
Yes.
Quickly.
Okay, I don't think Robin should win because, I mean, it's like God is my witness. God is my witness. That he's not saying the truth or anything that he's going to do. What he's going to do is start another war and start killing our boys. Thank you, bye.
Okay, thank you. I'm not even close to understanding what she said.
I heard the word truth. So isn't that what we're all looking for here
I
at
guess
the
so.
end of the
I
day?
guess so. We're looking
Absolutely.
for facts and truth, right?
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
we're looking for. So, and so last night, what did you get? What's the main point that you got out of this whole thing? I mean, Romney came out with his gloves on, ready to fight, and he fought a great fight.
He did.
Obama almost went to the corner and kind of lied down. What did you get out of this?
Out of the two communicators last night, we had Romney being the better communicator. It's a very tight race right now, and the president cannot afford to let that happen if he wants 4 more years. Most Democrats have had this issue with him for a long time, John, that he has accomplished some nice things, but he never talks about them.
What has he accomplished?
Well, he talked very briefly last night about the Obama health care, did give a wonderful prescription benefit to senior citizens, and he asked Governor Romney, are you going to stop that? He has fought for Pell Grants, which are very, very important on this area. I myself had a Pell Grant, and that's how I completed college. Were it left to the Republican-controlled Congress, we wouldn't have the money in Pell Grants that we have now.
But on the flip side, Republicans and conservatives are saying, look, you've got 23 million people out of work. The unemployment rate has been above 8% for 43 consecutive months. He's putting the squeeze on the middle class by raising taxes on them. And so none of that was brought up last night except by Romney. Romney did bring that up last night. That's the response.
And do you think that it is responsible to cut taxes when we have a deficit the way we do? You can't have it either way. It's going to be one or the other. And I think the best way to deal with that is shared sacrifice.
Right. Okay. Well, we've got about 30 seconds, and so overall, the next debate...
Next debate is October 11th. We're going to see the vice presidential candidates taking it in Kentucky.
Right, and so the next 2 debates, I think, the vice presidential debate, I don't know how many people will pay attention to. I'm not sure how much impact that'll have on the polls.
It doesn't win or lose a race, usually.
I don't think so. I think the next 2 debates between these two, Romney and Obama, will pretty much determine those swing voters.
It's very possible. It's very possible. They have to decide at some point, right?
At some point, they have to vote, and they will decide. Now, how much impact do you think the last 2 debates will have?
It will grow in an impact because now folks are going to tune in just to see what Romney is going to do. A lot of us thought he was going to shoot himself in the foot because oftentimes when you get him off the teleprompter, he says crazy things like trying to make a $10,000 bet with Governor Rick Perry.
Well,
that's
as
what we're all
does
waiting
Obama,
to see.
when he's not, as you saw last night, no teleprompter, stumbling, stammering all over the place and using he kind of does the same thing. Would you not agree?
He did stammer a bit last night. I will absolutely give you that. I agree with you there.
Yeah. And anything else you'd like to add before we go? We're almost out of time.
I just want to say thanks for having me. It was really fun to be on the show.
I appreciate it. It's very kind of you to come on, and we're going to see you again on Election Day here with Mike Briggs.
Oh, let's do it. That's going to be great fun.
All right. Thank you for being here. Feleena Sutton, our political expert, our analyst here, and we'll see you back tomorrow on Connect with Me. Thanks for being here.
James Arness is Marshal Matt Dillon.
They were looking for me. They're going to be back.
On Gunsmoke.
That's right.
Weekdays at 1 on MeTV.
Hi, I'm John Malos, and I'm here to talk about digital television. Now, you can pay for it via cable or satellite, or you can get it free directly from the broadcast TV stations. Fresno now offers over 45 crystal clear free digital TV channels. All the major networks, sports, news, movie channels, many in HD with no monthly charges. Simply plug your antenna into your TV and scan for channels. It's that simple. And did I tell you, it's free. Visit freetvfresno.com to get all the details.